invite you to head over to the JioFinance Experience Zone at the back. Get early access to the all-new JioFinance app and be among the first to try the next-gen features. The future of finance is here. Go check it out. As India advances towards a technology-led economy, financial empowerment must rise to meet new ambitions. Jio Financial Services represents a bold step in that journey, bringing together scale, innovation, and trust to shape a stronger financial ecosystem for the nation. The future of finance is not approaching, it is already here. Please join me in welcoming Hitesh Sethia, MD and CEO, Jio Financial Services, for the future of finance is now ready for scaling new peaks.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. Have you ever noticed that your OTT has actually started observing you? With a show of hands, can I ask how many of you know that your OTT is able to predict your next movie? Your e-commerce is able to predict the next shirt that you want to buy? And your grocery shop online is able to predict your next shopping cart? That's great. That's great. The world has quietly started noticing you. Now, coming to financial services, do you experience the same? That's the real question. Do you experience, how many of you have felt the same experience in financial services? The answer is probably no. You've not felt that in financial services. How many of you have felt that the OTT app that suggests the movie that you want to see, you're in the mood for, your e-commerce site recommends the exact shirt you are looking to buy, and your food delivery app intuitively knows your cravings at 9 p.m. Can I please get a show of hands again? I didn't see many of you raise your hands at that point of time. Wow, amazing, isn't that? These platforms have become super intelligent in understanding us, in anticipating our needs, and simplifying our daily lives. But when it comes to the decisions that matters the most, your savings, your investments, your family's future, the landscape remains complex and cluttered. So the question is, while your smartphone knows what you want for entertainment or dinner tonight, does it understand your financial needs equally well? In financial services, inertia is not loyalty. It is generally a function of inconvenience. People don't stick with old habits because they work. They stick with them because the alternative feels like a full-time job. Comparing a plethora of generic choices and deciding what's best for you can be mostly confusing and certainly time-consuming. For most of us, life is too busy for this fine print. But what if the window to your financial world was just one screen away, where personalized intelligence met easy access to the widest selection of products, turning complex decisions into just few simple taps? Friends, it's time for financial services to evolve and become deeply personal, instantaneous, and built with a foundation of absolute trust. For generations, our financial wisdom came from the dinner table, relying on trusted advice of family and friends. Today, we at JioFinance are augmenting that trust with an AI-powered financial partner which works 24/7 exclusively for you, making you truly Atmanirbhar when it comes to shaping your financial future. And here is how we are going to do that. The JioFinance app now becomes an intelligent marketplace, bringing you a diverse range of offerings, including loans, insurance, investments, and much, much more. You name it, and we've got it. In addition to our in-house products, we have tied up with well-known finance brands to bring you the products best suited for you. What you see here are the core building blocks that make JioFinance simply intelligent. Empowering your financial future through agentic AI, our hyper-personalized finance co-pilot makes your money management as natural as a conversation and as rewarding as the results should be. We will see how each of them work together in a perfect harmony to make this platform India's AI-powered financial partner for your life. We are also moving beyond a one-size-fits-all approach, where no two individuals with different financial profiles and needs will ever see the same homepage. Your home screen is a reflection of your specific needs, anchored by unique intelligent assistance that guides you through every financial milestone of your life. What you ask of your JioFinance app is what you will see on your homepage. That could be mutual funds for some, that could be home loans for others, and so on. JioFinance will make endless scrolls and juggling multiple app screens a thing of the past by giving every product experience a natural language interface. So if you're driving in heavy traffic in this city between Delhi and Gurgaon every day for work, and you want the best zero depreciation policy for your car, all that you need to do is type your ask in the chat bar on that app. The app instantly fetches the recommended policies and lets you secure coverage in just a few taps, so you can cut out the noise and get to the solution. In addition to the AI that powers our background operations, we have embedded live financial agents directly on your homepage. Unlike static platforms that just list products, just one query from your JioFinance app triggers a massive digital symphony. Within seconds, a growing ecosystem of 15 plus AI agents and 70 decision-making engines actually spring into action, computing thousands of variables to deliver the single best outcome for your life. For example, if you are a frequent flyer looking to get a credit card, our AI matches you with the cards that maximizes your reward points so that your next family vacation is a byproduct of your previous trips. As I mentioned earlier, this marketplace is the one that works in your best interest. You can choose our product or someone else's product, whatever suits you. No questions will ever be asked. And we will keep expanding to add new partners and new products as we go along. We have also built a single secure command center for your entire financial life. No more toggling between apps or stitching together spreadsheets. Whether it's an external bank account, mutual fund, or a loan held through JioFinance, you now will have a unified real-time view of your total net worth with smart and actionable insights. And finally, we introduce JioPoints. With JioPoints, we have built a very, very unique rewards experience that understands what you love and enables you to redeem points against an exciting catalog of rewards across dining, shopping, travel, movies, and a lot more. With JioPoints, the power is really in your hands. Our role is to be a quiet layer of intelligence working in the background unobtrusively. In financial services, as you all very well know, trust is completely non-negotiable. Our intelligence engine is programmed with a single priority, bridging the gap between your aspiration and the reality. Every single recommendation that you receive is based on objective data, keeping in mind your unique goals. It is not and will never be driven by our commercial considerations. Your growth, our customers' growth, is the only metric, and we believe that when our customers grow, we will grow. We want to grow with our customers and certainly not at the expense of our customers. So ours is not going to be an engine that's designed to confuse. There'll be no hidden nudges. There's going to be no confusing fine print ever. We are here to make intelligent finance simple for you. And my dear friends, this is just the beginning. Over the next 2 months, we will roll out many more power-packed features. We will soon launch a very proprietary financial fitness score, which is much like your health checkup for your finances, assessing your spends, assessing your borrowing, assessing your protection levels, and wealth creation and tax compliances. Based on this, JioFinance then becomes your personal chief financial officer, recommending areas of improvement and helping you fix the gaps like inadequate retirement funds, like inadequate insurance, through simple conversation and a deeply, deeply analytical approach. And soon, the JioFinance app will also have the capability to execute actions on your behalf based on your permission. Mundane activities like recurring payments, investments can be automated through simple conversation and just a few clicks, leaving you more time to do things that you love to do. And finally, this is very important, because we operate on a direct digital model, we save on costs. We will soon come out with an exclusive membership program where we pass on some of these cost savings to our members as value back on every transaction done, so that your loyalty earns you more. The theme for this year's Rising Bharat is Strength Within, and I'm very proud to state that the JioFinance experience is truly, truly made in India. Let's now take a look at the new JioFinance app. Friends, today we are opening an exclusive early access program for you to create the future of finance with us. We are building a community of limited number of users of what we are calling Finsiders, whose feedback will make the JioFinance app even more powerful and personal. Register your interest now, transact on the app, share your feedback, and you will earn rewards at every stage. Friends, this is the Jio moment of finance, the democratization of financial intelligence for 1.4 billion Indians. आपका अपना JioFinance app, built in Bharat, built for Bharat, and we now invite you to build with Bharat. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so that was a great session by Mr. Sethia. Thank you so much for the same. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to be talking about scaling manufacturing, scaling growth, because if we don't deliver at scale, we won't be competitive. We won't be competitive domestically. We won't be competitive globally. And the future of finance is being written, and it's got 1 billion protagonists. As we just heard, tech and innovation are redefining money. Now let's get a ringside view from the captains of the industry. How do you scale business in the world's most happening economy? We've heard some great sessions today, and all of them were about turbocharging the economy. Let's pick their brains on strategies, learnings, and play-to-win moves in India's growth story. Please welcome on stage Santosh Iyer, MD and CEO, Mercedes-Benz India; Rajiv Memani, Chairman and CEO, EY India; Hitesh Sethia, MD and CEO, Jio Financial Services. They will be in conversation with Shireen Bhan on building scale in a billion-person economy. Welcome them on stage, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here on the Rising Bharat stage with three gentlemen who are going to talk to us about the India opportunity and the India advantage. Thank you very much for being a wonderful audience. Hitesh, you talked about democratization of finance in the country. He wants to get people to open demat accounts so that they can make money in the stock markets, and then get Santosh Iyer sales so that people can go out there and buy a Mercedes-Benz and hopefully send business Rajiv Memani's way as an auditor. So you've got an example of India's circular economy in motion here. But Rajiv, let's start with the India opportunity and the India advantage at this point in time. We started our post-lunch session with the team from Dhurandhar and who've created quite a storm, not just with the movie, but also with that iconic song. What we've seen happen in the last 12 months is deal after deal, trade agreement after trade agreement. India has been out there batting on the front foot, saying it is time for us to get competitive. It is not time to be protectionist. It's time for us to do business with the world. That's been a sea change in our attitude, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at last 12 months, and if you were to pick up three big changes, I would say the first one is the speed at which reforms are happening. And for scaling up, that's absolutely critical, whether it's on ease of doing business, whether it's improving the competitiveness. Lots of sectors, if you were to reflect back 3 years back, they were not there. Those sectors are there. And government is putting a lot of pressure, whether it's on data centers, electronics, nuclear. I mean, you can go on and on, medical devices, others, and I think that's been fantastic. The second is the way India is now re-engaging globally through FTAs, through bilateral agreements, and I think that's been fantastic. And you're right, I think earlier when we looked at FTAs, it sounded like, you were making Pakiza. It would take 6-7 years to make, 8 years to make. Everyone knew it would be a great movie, but it was taking a lot of time to do that. And suddenly in the last 12 months, 15 months, before one FTA is signed, the other is ready to go, then the other is ready to go, then the next sequel is ready. So I think the speed is just amazing. And
so we've gone from Pakiza to Dhurandhar.
Dhurandhar, yes, yes. And the second, I really feel that FTAs, while people only talk in terms of reduction of tariffs, but as we visit various countries, whenever FTAs are being done, I think it's creating a business platform which just opens the engagement in terms of investments, mobility, trade, tourism, everything. And it's a government to government, government to business, business to business partnership. And I'm of the view that it'll make India, the supply chain piece that we were looking at, whether you call it China +1 or whatever +1, as we do the FTAs, as we do ease of doing business, as we do reforms, I think the whole thing of supply chain resilience, of manufacturing coming in India in a big way, I think this will provide great impetus. And the third big change, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, and he covered it, is AI. So I feel that if businesses are looking at scaling up and theme, I think these three are going to be great enablers for scaling businesses up.
I'll talk about AI in just a second. No conversation is complete without addressing the AI issue. But Santosh, let's start by addressing what we just heard Rajiv say, that we've gone from taking 10, 12 years to ink an FTA now to getting an FTA done virtually every few months, from Pakiza to Dhurandhar. That's the speed at which trade agreements are being inked. What does this mean for industry? What does it mean for companies like yours who are already making in India? What does this now do to your aspiration of making for India and also making in India for the world?
No, I think, thanks Shireen and Raji made the most pertinent point. FTAs are not about duty reduction because if you go to the social media, everybody expected car prices to come down and
you've disappointed everybody.
It's not about me disappointing. We have invested in India, right? So we are already harvesting the India potential. We are locally manufacturing cars at a much reduced duty. So the FTAs cannot be looked at from a perspective of tariff rationalization. I think that's a bigger picture of two-way trade. We as MNCs always advocated open borders, and that's the fundamental reason for global economic growth as well. So I think the real potential of India able to participate in developed economies, and I think we have now prepared India already. The automotive ecosystem is very strong. Many of you may not be even aware the balance of trade for automotive components to Europe is positive for India, actually. So we are exporting more parts to Europe than importing from Europe. So I think the stage is set. The Indian industry really took this time to also scale up. And now I think this is the right moment once, of course, it would take another 18 months for the deals to fructify, for all the fine print to happen. But and then there can be only an upside, not only in manufacturing, but also a lot of intellectual capital movement. There is a clear discussion about protection of investments for European companies in India. So that also means more capex, more growth momentum to come up. So FTA, I think, will be one of the biggest game changer in the next couple of months, if not years.
Well, it will be the biggest game changer, but let me just build on that. Now, when we talk about this India opportunity, and I want to, again, for the benefit of our audience, look at the India automotive market in the luxury car segment from Mercedes-Benz's lens, and you've been in India for over 2 decades now. In fact, going into, what is the latest number?
32 years in India.
32 years in India, and you're still selling a little over 19,000 cars in India. How many cars do you sell in China?
Close to 5 lakh cars.
Close to 5 lakh cars. Now that's the annual number. 19,000 versus 5 lakh is the annual number, India versus China. What's the headroom for growth? And to address Rajiv's point, what does that mean then in terms of further capex, scaling up your business from here on?
Shireen, this question is not only asked by you, but also by my colleagues back in Stuttgart saying what's happening, when is the inflection point. Let's understand that China's growth was very different. It was a state-led growth. Lot of capex, state subsidies, support. There was a target for production, and you build capacities. And whereas India's growth is consumer-led, consumer economy-led. So it's not a government intervention where production capacities are built up. And if you read the articles, you see what's happening in China. There is overcapacity now. So it's more structural, a bit more slow than what we would imagine. But the runway is there. The penetration of cars to people is hardly 42,000 compared to China at 250, Germany at 600. But these are all wrong metrics because I think for the biggest change point in the last 20 years is decarbonization. China didn't have that agenda as much as what India has today to grow. So if we don't decarbonize the industry while growing, we will actually have a crisis on public health. We will have a crisis on our oil import bill, and the rupee already we know is under a lot of stress. So the challenges are different, and it's a very consumer-led economy with a very different government intervention. So we are pragmatic. We call always strategic patience. We were patient. The structure of the market has changed from a low-selling, cheaper cars to today our average selling price is going up to 1 crore of rupees. The mix has changed from...
You're now manufacturing the Maybach in India as well.
And India is the top 5 Maybach markets in the world. That shows the structure. So if you only look at the volume from one single prism, maybe it may not be right. But structurally, it's showing a very positive trend. We are quite optimistic, and we already localized the first car, and we have committed, you will hear very soon, further localization in India.
As far as the Maybach is concerned.
Not only Maybach, but some other car as well. We will do it in India this year itself.
Okay,
so we will continue on the localization agenda.
So localization and doubling down on that. Hitesh, you gave us a glimpse into what intelligence could mean as far as financial services are concerned. Through the COVID period and post-COVID, we've seen an explosion as far as financialization is concerned. We've seen record number of demat accounts being opened. Of course, the Indian mutual fund industry has grown in AUM, but it's nothing in comparison to the kind of AUMs that BlackRock is dealing with globally. Now, how do you see India, the opportunity, and what do you believe we could, your colleagues believe that we could double the size of the mutual fund AUM in the next 5 years?
No, absolutely. Good question, Shireen. So if India's economy is to double, and people double, triple, and people talk about time frames being different, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Financial services typically grows at a multiple of that, at least 1.5 or 2x of that. While you're absolutely correct that during COVID period, there was suddenly a pole vault in terms of digital adoption in the country. The public digital infrastructure was set well in place before the COVID period, and it picked up, whether it's UPI, whether it's the account aggregator, etc. You think about insurance penetration in the country, it's still under 4%, significantly lower than where other developing economies are. I'm not even comparing with developed economies. Look at credit penetration, significantly lower. While our AUM in the mutual fund industry, and you're absolutely correct that it has grown from almost a very small number 10 years back to about 80 lakh crores right now, the runway is huge for us. And therefore, we believe that there is an opportunity in every area, and COVID has helped catapult the digital adoption in the country, which is frankly going to help us reach the length and breadth of the country much faster than what it would have been otherwise. So I think the opportunity is enormous in front of us, across the spectrum, not just in investments or insurance, but even in the lending area.
Yes, absolutely. You're saying that there is a significant headroom for growth. Well, you can get Hitesh's app or any other app, but you have to watch only one channel when it comes to financial advice, and that's CNBC TV 18. So,
Get only our app.
And we should put us on your app.
Yes.
But Rajiv, let me come back to you now, and let's talk about the road ahead. While of course the trade agreements are one aspect of the story, enhancing competitiveness, and that is going to be key to India upping its share of the global markets. The gauntlet has been thrown to industry. The government is saying we've done our bit in terms of structural reforms. Industry now needs to get much more competitive. What do you see as the next building blocks in that effort for Indian manufacturing, Indian industry to become more competitive?
Yeah. So I mean, I think reforms is an ongoing process. So I don't think we are done with reforms. We are probably 30-40%. I was talking to someone in the morning today, and he was telling me that to run a shopping mall, you still need to do 500 to 600 compliances every year. And my only response is that government today is very open. If you want to go represent, change things, go with the problem, go with the solution and move. So I just wanted to say that that's very, very important. I think from an industry standpoint, a lot has happened, Shireen. I think the power energy costs are getting more competitive, but still I think we need to go through an active disinvestment of the distribution sector in India to happen, so that the energy sector becomes more competitive, open access on distribution, the way on land, on other areas, logistics costs have come down, but still relative to what we see, it's still slightly higher. Interest costs, we still have a delta of 4 to 5% relative to some of the countries that we are competing with. So there are still lots of factor cost efficiencies that are required. Notwithstanding that, I think from an industry standpoint, what we are seeing is that if you look at India's imports today, we would still import $500 to $600 billion of merchandise goods. If you look at future imports, data centers where India will be investing like 13 lakh to 14 lakh crores over the next 4 to 5 years. If you were to look at it, 8 to 9 lakh crores of imports will still be made there. If you look at multiple things, nuclear will be another area, the entire energy sector that we are seeing. So I think India needs to be actively looking at those things where we can localize. So whether it is through technology partnerships, whether it's through policy initiatives, whether it's through things like PLI schemes and others, I think that if we can do, that will give a great impetus for growth. From an industry standpoint, I think there are two things, at least I think, that are very important. First is that R&D spends are a challenge. And I think Indian industry needs to see how we can build the moat around R&D. And when I talk to industry, one of the key things is the financialization of the Indian economy has happened much faster
than R&D.
R&D. So if today a company announces that I'm going to spend $1 billion on R&D, their stock price will immediately fall down. If the company announces that I have done out-licensing of my products and I'm getting $400 million for out-licensing my products, the stock prices moves up. So I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the startup side, I think it's a big issue, big decision. I'm not blaming the economy, but I think from an industry standpoint, given that a lot of ownership is concentrated in India, I think we need to be investing much more on the R&D and building moats, which will give rise to competitiveness in a very, very significant way. And you were saying something?
No, continue.
Yeah. And I think the second thing that we need to do is also, in some areas, look at aggressive build-up, both domestically and globally. And I think that's something that we'll be seeing. So I personally think that from an Indian standpoint, if we can get the cost of capital also right. Today, the delta in the cost of capital is almost 4 to 5%. So for Indian industry to be competitive, getting the R&D investments, trying to see, obviously a lot of things around of cost of capital are led by either cost of debt, cost of equity, risk associated with India, which are macro factors. We need to reduce that. But if we, through governance, through other things, if we can reduce the cost of capital, focus more on R&D, try and see how we can take longer term bets. And in the meantime, if we can identify areas of manufacturing where there's massive scale available. I mean, in Indian infrastructure, Indian manufacturing, we are still not seeing so much of Indian companies coming into manufacturing in a significant way that if you put all those things together, I think the opportunity to scale today in India 5 years, 10 years from now, with some of the companies, the scale that they'll be acquiring will be huge and very, very significant. I'll resist on the impact that AI will create, but I think it can tremendously enhance competitiveness.
Let's talk about AI. You know, Hitesh clearly is betting on AI being able to get him to his last customer, travel the last mile. But AI, both an opportunity and a challenge at this point in time. You were talking about stock prices and you said that if companies were to announce that they're making significant R&D investments, the stock price would actually fall. What we saw happen in the US last night, Jack Dorsey, the former founder of Twitter, his company has laid off 4,000 people. The stock price was up 20%. Rajiv Memani, what is this AI transformation going to mean for India, for Indian jobs? Are you worried? Are you optimistic?
Honestly, I don't know. So
maybe we should have a maybe box now.
Yeah. What I know is that a lot of companies will undergo, especially those in the services sector per se, even some parts of manufacturing. A lot of companies will be undergoing massive change. When you go through change of this kind, some companies will fall by the wayside, and some companies will really double down and succeed. The nature of jobs that are being done today will change significantly. A lot of companies that adopt AI and are able to adopt, even in the normal manufacturing retail sector, the adopters of AI, also those who can adopt AI effectively and successfully will be very successful. I mean, I think the best example today that's given is you look at New York Times versus any other newspaper, the way they adopted technology, or you look at Walmart and versus, other retail chains in the US. And the way, Walmart has crossed $1 trillion. One of the key reasons is the way they've adopted technology, AI and other things. So I think we are in times of massive change. I think there will be a few winners, maybe a lot more losers. But India has a unique opportunity because the talent that we have, AI also requires massive adoption. Yes, a lot of things can be done, but to industrialize that at scale, to ensure that the data is right, to ensure that it works at enterprise level, to look at the governance of the data and the risk that it creates, you need huge amount of people. So I think there also, there lies a big opportunity. At least what we are seeing today, the enterprise adoption in India is really scaled up. And I think what happened in Delhi the last week or week before last.
Last week.
Last week. I think that also gave rise to, at least we can see what's happened with in the last 2 months with Anthropic and others versus what's happening, what happened here. I think the adoption, enterprise adoption, the excitement, the urgency has really gone up. So I think the jury is out, but I do believe that those who are able to successfully adopt as organizations, as individuals, as governments, I think they will probably turn out to be the
Yes,
success
the jury, as you point out, is still out. But Santosh, what is it going to mean from a manufacturing standpoint? Again, there's fear what happens not just to white-collar jobs, but what also happens to jobs on the factory floor. Are they going to be replaced completely by humanoids and so on and so forth? Hitesh is likely to replace everybody with agents, but what happens to manufacturing with AI coming in?
No, surely there is a disruption, and instead of resisting the disruption, we need to embrace it, because otherwise, the market won't be forgiving. You have to see AI is one spectrum, robotics, and then there is also quantum. A lot of development happening there, and it took 20 years to reach there, but it may just need 2 more years to do more when you take all the three together. I think for long, our manufacturing competitiveness as far as India is concerned was always on labor cost arbitrage. Then we were started to discuss about logistic cost and so on and so forth, interest costs and others, that we need to now take care of all of this to become more competitive. But actually AI and robotics can give a big leap, if you want to transition by skipping a certain prognosis. I think this is the time for manufacturing sector to adapt even more rapidly than others are doing and trying to create a competitive advantage.
So don't be afraid, you're saying.
I think,
embrace.
Yeah, embrace, and this entire fear of job loss, actually, that's what is causing a more panic than what it is. If you take it, there are large enterprise systems in organization. Somebody has to connect them with an AI agent. So I think there will be still requirement of service sector IT employees who can develop an AI-based ecosystem. So and that's also services. So maybe it will be a shift into what we do, from coding to linking AI-based services to enterprise solutions and so on and so forth. But the opportunity exists.
Hitesh, an agentic future is what you believe in?
Yeah, so my view is, I agree with what Rajiv said, that, the core of AI is going to be data. Organizations which are able to get their data stack in order, and therefore organizations without too much legacy are the ones which are likely to get slightly ahead on the AI race. That is one. And second, as far as job situation is concerned, the bottleneck in the value process is now not anymore analyzing the data. That is something that the machine can do. The bottleneck is going to be, how can you guardrail the data? Can we make AI work for the customer? Most use cases that we see today, AI is working for the institution. Can it solve something for customer service? Can it solve for marketing? But can we truly make it for customer? And that is where I think the diffusion of technology is going to happen at pace, and society will see value. So, and human in the loop will remain. It's just that the choke point is not going to be in the job we were doing yesterday. The value creation is going to be at a higher level.
So human in the loop will remain. That is good to hear. Gentlemen, let me end by asking each one of you, since all of you are clearly bullish and confident and optimistic about the future. We started with Pakiza and Dhurandhar. Santosh, let me ask you, if you had to sum up the India story in your favorite song or favorite movie, what would it be?
Actually, Dhurandhar is all over the place because of what's happening. But but I think I'm just repeating. In the past, I had said once that we have this famous song, "Hum honge kamyab ek din." That ek din is hopefully now and won't get postponed further. And
so
it
hum
should happen
honge
now.
kamyab aaj and ab. Okay, Rajiv Memani. No, but you have to give us the sequel, no?
No, I mean, honestly, I think I don't want to give us. I mean, I can't think of a song immediately. You put me on a spot. I thought of the movie.
You'll have to move your mic up so that everybody can hear you sing.
No. I can't think of a song right now. But I certainly said that it's a. I think most of the factors are lined up very well. I think the technology challenge is the real challenge, and how we overcome. Outside of that, macroeconomic, political stability, reforms, institutional strength, balance sheet strength, lots of new opportunities, scale up. I mean, most positive.
अपना time आ गया.
अपना time आ गया है, पहले भी आया था, उसको consolidate करना है.
उसको consolidate करना है. Hitesh, the final word to you.
Yeah, I think you said it. अपना time आ गया है. And 2 sessions back, I think we had this music of New India. I think that sums up everything. I mean, we will have music, that's for sure. It's just that the format of music is going to change. That's about it.
Well, you know, the conductors have given us a prescription on what the road ahead looks like. The building blocks are in place. The question now is one of accelerated pace of adoption of technology, scaling up at a faster pace as well, and engaging with the world in a much faster way as well, and ensuring that India stands competitive and stands strong. Rajiv Memani, Santosh Iyer, and Hitesh, many, many thanks for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening.